The mayor of New York City, Zohran Mamdani, has just triggered a massive standoff with the federal government over immigration enforcement, drawing literal threats of arrest and deportation straight from President Donald Trump.
Yeah, it is a massive collision.
If you enjoy content like this, please take a moment to like, subscribe, follow, and turn on notifications so you'll always know when new content is released.
Right.
As a quick update, we continue to monitor the Martin Stevens v. OpenAI matter. It is still not a lawsuit. We remain in a voluntary quiet period at the request of Martin Stevens to allow time for any potential developments behind the scenes. At the time of this recording, we do not know whether any progress has been made. No settlement discussions or negotiations have been publicly confirmed. We can also report that the dead man's switch has not been activated, meaning Martin Stevens remains safe from both a physical and legal standpoint. We will provide updates if circumstances change.
Thanks for that update.
So getting right back into it, today you're going to understand the exact mechanics of New York City's Executive Order 13. We're going to look at the constitutional battleground of these so-called sanctuary policies and this, well, unprecedented legal clash between local authorities and the Department of Homeland Security.
Exactly. Because to really understand the political explosion happening right now, we first need to look at what Mayor Mamdani actually signed into law.
Right. On February 6th, 2026.
Yes, February 6th. And how it fundamentally alters the way federal agents can operate in New York City.
Because Executive Order 13 explicitly bars U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement IC from entering city property without a judicial warrant, right?
Correct. And, we're not just talking about City Hall here. It includes schools, shelters, hospitals, even city-leased parking lots.
Wow, even parking lots.
Yeah, any municipal footprint. But here's the thing. We really need to define the crucial legal difference between an administrative warrant and a judicial warrant.
Which the ACLU highlighted in the sources, right?
Exactly. An administrative warrant, or a warrant of removal, is issued by the Department of Homeland Security itself. It's essentially an internal document.
Okay, so it's from DHS.
Right, and it does not grant ICE permission to enter or search a premises without consent. But a judicial warrant, well, that's signed by an actual judge.
I mean, I think the best way for you to wrap your head around this, listening at home, is to think of it like a school hall pass.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, like an administrative warrant is essentially a hall pass that you wrote and signed for yourself.
Right, exactly.
Whereas a judicial warrant is a hall pass signed by the principal. It actually carries authority.
That is the perfect analogy. And so, having established what EO 13 does, the natural question is, why? Why did the city feel these new rules were necessary right now?
Right. What changed?
Well, the answer lies in a newly released audit of city agencies from May 22, 2026.
Okay, and what did the audit find?
It revealed that federal immigration authorities had really intensified their targeting of city shelters. Yeah, and they sharply increased detainer requests to the NYPD and the Department of Correction. Plus, they were using some pretty aggressive tactics.
And didn't the audit mention past incidents of the NYPD improperly sharing records?
It did, yeah. There was a case where the NYPD shared the sealed arrest records of a Palestinian woman directly with ICE.
Wow, sealed records. That's a huge breach.
Exactly. Which is why there are strict new agency protocols now. For example, the NYPD must now track 911 calls related to the presence of federal immigration authorities.
Wait, really? Track the calls?
Yeah, they have to notify department leadership and literally send a patrol executive to the scene.
Okay, wait. I have to push back on this on behalf of anyone listening. Because, isn't the NYPD's job to catch criminals?
That is the common reaction, yes.
I mean, why would a local police department actively track and dispatch executives to monitor federal law enforcement? That sounds kind of crazy.
Well, it comes down to the core philosophy of sanctuary policies. The local view is that public safety relies on immigrants trusting local government enough to actually report crimes.
Oh, I see.
Right, like if someone is a victim of a robbery, or they need a hospital, or they need childcare, the city needs them to access those services without fear of deportation.
So if they don't trust the police, they just stay in the shadows, and that makes the whole city less safe.
Exactly. The Administration for Children's Services is even reviewing protective orders now if they have negative immigration consequences for parents.
Wow. And Health and Hospitals is doing something too, right?
Yes, H&H is developing new protocols for when ICE brings individuals in for medical care. It is a total system overhaul.
But, I mean, because Mamdani's administration views this as protecting public safety, the federal government views it as the exact opposite.
Oh, absolutely. They see it as a direct threat.
Yeah. which has led to this explosive political rhetoric we mentioned at the start.
Right. I mean, President Trump called Mamdani a pure, true communist.
Right, and Mamdani just defeated Andrew Cuomo in that ranked choice voting primary, so his profile is huge right now.
Exactly. And Trump, after touring a Florida detention facility that people are calling Alligator Alcatraz.
Alligator Alcatraz, right?
Yeah, he literally threatened to arrest, strip citizenship from, and deport Mamdani.
Which is wild for a sitting president to say about a sitting mayor.
It really is. And Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, declared that it is game on.
Yeah, he said federal law trumps him every day.
Right. And DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin claimed that New York's refusal to honor IC detainers resulted in the release of nearly 7,000 criminal illegal aliens since January 20th.
7,000. That's a massive number.
And she says there are 7,113 more currently in custody with active detainers.
And DHS argues these individuals include people convicted of violent crimes, right?
Yeah.
Like homicide and kidnapping.
Exactly. And their point is that blocking ICE from accessing local jails forces federal agents to conduct visible, disruptive enforcement in communities instead.
Like out on the streets instead of a controlled jail environment. Well, we should explicitly remind you, listening right now, that we are not taking a side here. We're just mapping out two fundamentally opposed definitions of public safety.
Yes, it's very important to keep that perspective.
Right. You have the federal view that safety means removing violent offenders versus the local view that safety means maintaining community trust in local institutions.
Exactly.
So who actually has the law on their side? When Borders Are Homan says federal law trumps him, is he legally correct?
Well, this brings us to the underlying constitutional mechanics of the dispute.
Which is fascinating.
It really is. It centers around the 10th Amendment and what's called the anti-commandeering doctrine.
Anti-commandeering. Okay.
Yeah, established in cases like Prince v. United States and Murphy v. NCAA. Basically, the federal government is solely responsible for immigration law.
Okay, so the feds run immigration.
Right, but they cannot force state or local officials to do the enforcing for them. They can't commandeer local cops.
Ah, okay. It's like, well, imagine a manager from a completely different department in your company coming over and demanding your team drop everything to do his project.
That's a great way to think of it.
You have the constitutional right to say, no, we don't work for you.
Exactly. And that's why federal immigration detainers, which are requests to hold a suspected unlawful immigrant for up to 48 hours, are just that, requests.
They're voluntary.
Yes, courts have ruled they're strictly voluntary. The feds can't force a local jail to hold someone.
Which ties into the new New York state budget, right?
It does. The state budget includes the Local Cops, Local Crimes Act,
Right.
which officially bans 287G agreements. Those are agreements that literally deputize local cops for ICE.
So those are gone in New York.
Gone. And it stops local jails from detaining people for civil immigration violations entirely.
And there's also the Sensitive Locations Protection Act, right?
Yes, which allows private locations to deny entry to IC without that judicial warrant we talked about earlier.
So if New York says we don't work for you, going back to my analogy, that manager might then try to get the CEO to cut your team's budget.
That is precisely the federal government's next move.
The funding threats.
Right. The Trump administration has historically tried to withhold funding from sanctuary cities to force compliance.
But can they just legally take all the money away?
Well, no. Under Supreme Court precedent, specifically NFIB v. Sebelius, Congress can incentivize states with money, but the conditions cannot be coercive.
Like putting a gun to the head.
Exactly. The court literally used that phrase. It can't be a gun to the head, and the conditions must be directly related to the funding being threatened.
So they can't take away highway funds because of immigration policies.
Right. There has to be a nexus between the two.
So to summarize where we're at, this standoff is really the ultimate stress test of American federalism.
It absolutely is.
You've got a local mayor trying to Trump-proof his city with Executive Order 13, and a federal government absolutely determined to carry out mass deportations.
And neither side is backing down.
Right. But we want to leave you with a final, unaddressed point drawn from the sources, something to really think about.
Yeah, this is a really interesting angle.
There's an amicus brief from the NYC Bar Association fighting for the right of civilians to record police in precinct lobbies.
Right, protecting the rights of people holding smartphones?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as New York City implements these strict new sanctuary laws, ordinary citizens with smartphones might actually become the ultimate watchdogs.
Because if the NYPD is internally divided on cooperating with ICE, which the audit suggests might be an issue,
Right, will bystander footage in station houses be the only way to prove whether the mayor's Executive Order 13 is actually being followed on the ground?
it's a huge question. Accountability might literally come down to whoever happens to be recording in the lobby.
If you found this episode valuable, please like, subscribe, share, follow, and turn on notifications. It helps us continue bringing you content like this and ensures you never miss future releases.